Hi to all of you. And this is you'll meet Dr. Eli in a second. Here's who he is, and here's what we're doing. And if you want to make donations to him during or after this teaching, here's how to do it, and it's on the calendar and all that good stuff. So please go back or contact him if you want to work with him after learning this amazing stuff. All right, So this is me. I'm Amber. Hi. I'm 48. Some of you know or not or guess, whatever, with a woman. So this was when I met Dr. Eli 2 years ago. I looked like this. Definitely a force to be reckoned with, but health-wise, actually my underlying health has always been really good. I wouldn't say I have sort of underlying health issues, but with age, increasing weight, inflammation, and I've always been just sensitive to everything, just one of those people. So I went and I talked to him and he just was like, this thing, right? So what is this thing? So he's going to tell you all about it. That's why he's here. He is someone who has helped many people down this path. So better for him to speak about it. But so this is my little Reader's Digest of what is this thing that's so hard to put in a nutshell. So it's like a scientific method, and you're like the doctor, you're the researcher, you are scientifically figuring out what is up with your own body and then what you're going to do about it, right? Like once you know, are you going to put the attention and discipline in, or it's like, okay, well, so for me, it's been 2 years of like hardcore, very focused attention and discipline. So it's been awesome. So I want Dr. Eli to talk now because that's what he's here for. And so please unmute yourself and introduce yourself and tell us why we're here.
All right, I'm just going to be sharing my screen and I just need to find, I know what I need to do. One moment here. I need to bring everything over to this other screen. Here we go. And I'm going to close this. And here we go. Okay. So I'm Dr. Eli, and I want to say to Amber, thank you for inviting me. I always love sharing this information with my patients and the people they care about and their communities they're part of. I think that helping people really, like Amber said, doctor themselves to figure out what's going on for them and then invest the time and the resources to really get to the root cause of what's might be their concerns, their health concerns, their imbalances is really what I'm here for. I'm a guide in that arena. Before we start, I just want to read a little verse from a book that I have just to kind of set the mood for today. It's a verse for this particular week in general. So I'm just going to start there and then I'll introduce myself a little more. The world is threatening to stun the inborn forces of my soul. Now, memory, come forth from spirit depths and kindling light. Invigorate my inward sight, which only by the strength of will is able to sustain itself. Let's let that sit there and see what comes forth here for me. I said I'm Dr. Eli Morales. I'm a naturopathic physician. I live in Stone Ridge, New York. I help patients discover the root cause of their concerns and transform their mind, body, and spirit to one of ease, contentment, and freedom. A lot of the work I do is working to get people to that place of ease, contentment, and freedom in their life. I am trained as a naturopathic physician in family medicine and complex chronic disease care. I graduated 6 years ago now from naturopathic school. And really, we do have a huge emphasis on nutrition, herbs, homeopathy, and lifestyle, and how those can really be the foundation for overall health, what we reach for first in our toolkit in order to help our patients. I have a virtual office in New York, although I can be anywhere. So patients who are in New York, I do see them online. And then I have a physical address in Connecticut where I also see patients And some patients from New York come over there if they want particular types of testing or whatnot that I can't do in New York. So that's a little bit about me. Oops. Okay. Today's agenda, introduction, which we just did. I'm going to review the outline of this elimination diet, discuss some pitfalls that commonly come up for people, review what to eat in more detail, actually go over the document that I'm happy to share with you if you want to take a look and see what to do to get started. And then at the end, I'll answer any questions you might have. So I encourage you to write them down, type them up, put them in the chat if you want to record them somewhere and then let them go. And I will do my best to address all of them later today. I am at home right now, and in my house it's bedtime, so sometimes that can be a little tumultuous, so you might hear that going on. All right, if you hear any kind of crying, screaming, or laughter or anything of that nature. Okay, so the whole life elimination diet in itself was actually created by a nutritionist called Tom Malteri. And he's a wonderful guy. He and his wife, they are both nutritionists and cooks and have wonderful cookbooks out there. And they created this plan. And I took a course with them about how to implement it. And I started using it with my patients, maybe 5 years ago, and got really good results because it follows a basic standard for what's also called the gold standard of allergy and food sensitivity discovery. And that's the elimination diet, where you remove a food that you suspect is we'll call in medical terms an allergen or a sensitivity. And then after it's removed, you add it back in to see if that's the culprit. But what they found is, while if somebody, let's say, is lactose intolerant and they remove that food, that dairy product, they add it back in, okay, you're lactose intolerant. But they also found that it can at times heal profoundly symptoms someone is having. Often we think of lactose intolerant, you might think of like gas and bloating, but sometimes it also can lead to allergies, can lead to asthma, can lead to skin rashes. And so you remove that dairy, that actual cause of what's going on for someone, and all suddenly their whole life opens up in a new way that they didn't know, in a new way of being that they know they could be in. So it's a very powerful tool, but it does require a lot of guidance. And so Tom Malteri, he created this particular document, and there's a lot of other types out there, and I found this one very helpful. It does a really good job at educating patients about all the variations you could do, and it provides recipes, which is often where people kind of get stuck. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So to begin, what is this diet doing? And here's a little bit more about it. If we get rid of the irritants, then we're going to get rid of the symptoms. And this is all about root cause medicine, not just covering up a symptom. You have a rash, put a cream on it, literally covering it up. But you have a rash, let's remove possibly the irritant that's causing that rash. In naturopathic medicine, we say we want to get rid of the morbid matter. It's like the litter at the bottom of the forest. Or the dust on your windowsill. We want to clear that away to see what's underneath and have a better picture of what's actually at the bottom. So we remove the irritant, the symptom goes away, and then we can sometimes feel a lot better. So just this slide in particular, chronic inflammation is behind all diseases, and particularly chronic diseases. And chronic disease is something you've had for perhaps more than a month, 2 months. Not an acute disease, which is really something that comes on quickly and either leaves quickly, or in medicine, we do say, or you die from it. And that's unfortunately kind of what's happening with coronavirus right now, is that's an acute disease. And then you can get the chronic COVID, these long hauler COVID components, when it lasts longer than it should be. And so it's the inflammation that's there that's causing this to stay. That feeling when you start to get sick, that lethargy, the dull ache in your body, the irritability, pain, all those symptoms, that's inflammation. And that's actually the immune system working to try itself to remove the irritant, the allergen, the antigens is the medical term in the body. So the inflammation comes from the immune system actually working to heal you, but just can't do it. And one of the reasons it can't do that is because you and the body keep experiencing coming up against these irritants. So this inflammation, it happens when you get sick, as I said, and it also happens when you consume foods that your body is sensitive to. When you eat foods every day that irritate your system, you cause chronic inflammation. When chronic inflammation is present, you create an environment for nearly every single disease to manifest. And that's that idea of this morbid matter. It's this, you create this toxic milieu where disease festers, where bacteria grow, virus grow, yeast can grow, and that can lead to inflammation. And you can see that in the symptoms that you're presenting with, whether it's weight gain, allergies, asthma, rash, pain, especially a lot of chronic pain comes from this chronic inflammation, from the chronic ingestion of irritants, and often it's food. I always start with food for people. If we can clean that up, about 50 to 85% of the issues go away. And then this other way of thinking about it is, you could add in lots of anti-inflammatory foods, healthy food, but if you're still eating that dairy that you're sensitive to, the inflammation is going to stay there. So we really need to figure out what that is, and the elimination diet is a way to figure that out. And it's a way that is methodical, it's logical. We do it carefully and slowly so we can really pinpoint what is bothering you. So the elimination diet can be your most powerful healing tool. With it, you can discover through a process of elimination and reintroduction what foods are irritating your body and triggering your symptoms. And I'm just going to keep repeating that because it's really the basic, almost simple premise. You eliminate, and then you bring that food back in to see if it causes symptoms. So you remove all of the most common allergenic foods for a few weeks, and then slowly add them back over a period of about 2 months. That step, some people don't even go back to. They'll remove foods, they'll feel so much better, and they're like, why would I add anything back? I'm totally happy the way I am. And I know some of my patients choose to go that route, and that's completely fine with me. This diet not only eliminates all of the most common food suspects, it actually goes beyond that and includes a diet rich in foods that help detoxify your body so it can function better, while providing foods rich in nutrients like zinc and amino acids that help the digestive and immune systems work properly. And that's something Tom Altieri really added in here, is that it's not only, okay, we're going to eliminate the food and then reintroduce it. The foods that you are bringing in the meantime are actually really healthy for you. They help your body detoxify. They help the immune system become stronger, and they give you the body the nutrients it needs to repair any damage that you've been doing over sometimes decades. So there are 3 phases in this particular one. The phase 1 is called detoxification, and that's a liquids only phase. It's 2 days. Sometimes people go longer. There's the second phase where you actually then officially are eliminating foods, and you're eating solid foods again, but eliminating the most common allergens. And I'm going to go over those. This lasts for 2 to 14 days or longer again. And it really depends, how long it's going to be. It depends on, is this your first time? What is your doctor or someone like me? I often actually recommend it for a month to really get those foods out. And then a reintroduction phase where, let's say you removed 5 foods, you introduce them one at a time. So you're doing this scientifically, logically, and then you see how you react. And then if 2 or 3 days later, you add the next food in and you see how you react. So if you've taken out 5 foods, you've taken out 10 foods, it could take a month or 2 to really actually reintroduce all the foods. Excuse me. All right, so phase 1, I'm just going to focus on a little bit more detail here because you're going to be doing a little bit of a phase 1, getting ready for your community activity. And so I'm going to focus on that more, but I will go through all the phases and show you the document a little bit more shortly, so you have just an overview of it. But in this phase 1, it was designed as a real detoxification phase that begins to calm the immune system and clear the gut. By only having liquids that are prepared by you, homemade stocks, little soups, and then vegetable smoothies or juices, you're eliminating the most common irritants or any that you definitely know irritate you. And then you're giving your digestion a rest by having these foods basically masticated, cooked and blended, so it's very easy for the digestion to digest them, break them down, and then absorb them into the body. And so when that process is happening, there's less energy given to digestion and more energy given to repair in other systems of the body. A small example here of what phase 1 looks like is you're starting your day with a green smoothie, maybe 2 cups of that. Then you have an early lunch with a quart of pureed vegetable soup, and then 2 to 4 cups of fresh vegetable juice for an afternoon snack, and then a bowl of pureed vegetable soup for dinner. And I'm going to go over how that's going to feel. And there might be people in this group who can talk about their experiences initially, but it's an important component of this because it really helps prep the body for the next stages. And then you can see here, you can have herbal teas. Excuse me. I just had dinner myself. Purified water, fresh coconut water throughout the day is kind of like a snack, but you really want to stick to liquids only. A lot of people have fear of doing something like this because of what they hear are the side effects. And for me, what I've seen in patients and experienced myself, I'm actually doing this cleanse right now. I'm in the elimination phase, and common side effects are the ones that you see here. And I put anxiety in there. It doesn't mean you get new anxiety, but people are worried that they feel hungry, or they are more irritable, and that creates anxiety. And so I always put that one in there. But the others are definitely more common. A sense of fatigue, you're not getting as many calories, the irritability because you're not getting that sugar snack that you like, hunger, certainly, because your stomach is usually, accustomed to expanding. And when it's not expanding as much, the brain sends out signals that it's like, oh, we need more food to expand more. So you get that feeling of hunger. Plus you're taking less calories. So the brain's a little, it's like, hey, what's happening? We need more. And you can get headaches. And that often can happen from just a detoxification effect where suddenly toxins are being cleared from the body and they're getting dumped into the system, and the system reacts with a little bit more inflammation, and you can get a headache from that. But this should not last very long, because in 1 to 2 days, you're eating full foods again, okay, more solid foods. All right, so the common pitfalls, though, that I see, and I always like to really, this is the part, there's all this information I'm about to share with you, and I have shared, but this is what I really like to counsel my patients about is, what are the common pitfalls, things that get in the way, the hurdles to completing this successfully? And that's what I coach you through. So the first one we have is not taking the time to prepare your kitchen. Some people enter this and they don't realize, oh, I need a cutting board, or I'm going to be preparing all my meals, make sure I have all the implements I need, kitchen utensils, blenders, cutting boards, pots, pans, food in the kitchen that you're going to cook with, being prepared that way. So I always tell people you need at least a week of preparing before you begin, of preparing your physical space around you. And that really means that you are able to prepare the food you're going to take, or else you're going to be very hungry and cranky and you'll just jump off the boat. The next one is not taking the time to prepare your body. This one comes from just, actually saying, all right, is my body prepared to do this? Am I about to run a marathon? Am I relaxed enough? Do I have other demands on me that aren't going to allow my body to deal with the hunger I might feel right away, or the irritability I'm going to feel from not getting my snacks that I usually have? So I always encourage people to make sure that their body feels safe and prepared in a comfortable place to go through this process. Not taking time to prepare your mind can also be, so you're not thinking about these pitfalls, not thinking about the side effects, like not realizing, so I'm going to be feeling anxious and hungry. What could I be doing instead of like just pacing around in the kitchen? I could be, get the books out that I want to read. I could get that puzzle out that I want to do. I could journal, especially, is really important. More meditation, so it takes the time to prepare the mind to really get ready to take this on. And part of that is also thinking about your goals. Like, why do I want to do this? Really be committed to this process. One day it might be hard enough for some people, and I think it's a really good idea to practice. But then when you actually enter into it, you want to be present. You want to know this is something you want for yourself. So you really do want to picture that perfect outcome. Don't just enter into it not knowing where you're going. You know where you're going. I want to be, spiritually in my body and mindfully have ease, contentment, and freedom at the end. I want to be acne free. I want my allergies to be gone. I want to be, have as much energy as I did when I was younger. You need to set that goal for yourself so that you can head that way. If you don't know where you're going, or if you're skeptical, I don't recommend trying this. Not taking the time to prepare your spirit is also a common pitfall. This isn't quite fasting, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but in fasting, you can have some profound spiritual experiences when you're doing this, but this is enough of a spiritual experience that you might meet yourself in new ways that you didn't realize. And I'll leave it at that. And so I just want to say, I guess I'm not leaving it at that, have a discussion with yourself, and not just, and so this is different than the mind and the body, but have that discussion with yourself that desires with that pure self, that you want to bring that out more. You want to engage that part of you that is your spirit, and bring that along into this process as well. Some people don't realize that they need a plan if they're going to be eating out, or if they're going to be going to social gatherings where there isn't food for them. Do you bring along your own food? Do you not eat out for a month? Those kinds of things are really important to think about. A common pitfall is to tell everyone you know that you're doing this. Everyone will have their own opinions. Some people are terrified by the idea that you're going to change your diet because they have their own preconceived notions about diet and food and culture and what you can do to your body, and is it healthy, is it safe? My friend did it and they almost died, or I don't know why you would deprive yourself, and before you know it, you're not sure about what you're doing either. If this is something you want to do, I recommend not telling anybody unless you know someone is going to really support you. And that could be this community right here, your doctor, or a close friend who you want, be in touch with during this process. But the more people you tell, and it's like this, it's a graph. The more people you tell, the less likely you are to do it. So I say, don't share with as many people, and just get along on your own in a safe community. Okay. One of the last things here, though, is safety. I will say that this diet is very safe to do. I don't, if there's some reasons not to do it, but in general, it's very safe to do. Excuse me. It's not fasting. Fasting is taking in very, very low calories or none at all, and just doing water. But your body can respond in a very similar way to the deprivation of the calories. You can partially go into what's called ketosis, where the body starts converting fats into energy for the brain instead of using the carbohydrates and the sugars from that. But it isn't necessarily going to do that very well, because you're going to be giving it the liquids and then all the other foods. So this isn't fasting. If you have diabetes, type 2, you should talk to your doctor about doing this. If you're insulin dependent diabetic, I would recommend against doing this unless you have very good control over how to do that for yourself. And again, talk to your doctor. If your medication requires you to take food, I don't recommend doing this diet unless you talk to a doctor to help you walk through that. If you are afraid to do this, not a good time to do it. If you're pregnant, you need all the calories you can get, so I would not try this kind of fasting during this time. If you have a serious disease condition, I would not do this, particularly if you have any kind of kidney issues. And then if you're unsure, and if this is something safe to do with any kind of condition you have, you need to talk with your doctor about that. All right, so it gets to this part here about what do I eat? And now I'm going to switch to the document, so just hold on a second. Okay, so this is the Whole Life Nutrition Whole Life Elimination Diet document. I'm happy to share this with you. And everything I'm talking about is mostly in this document, but this is the phase 1 detox yes and no food list. And most people look on the no first. And I want you just to ignore that for a moment and really focus on the yes list, okay? And just take a look at this would be the first 2 days that you're doing this, and this is the liquids only phase. So, and if you are a vegan or vegetarian, you do not have to. This isn't the you have to eat these foods. But this is a omnivore approach, but it's very easily made into a vegan or vegetarian. So right away you'll see that the meats you can have this homemade chicken stock, but you can make a beautiful seaweed vegetable stock and there's a recipe in here for that too. So you can have any of these, and these are all for the liquid. So you would be cooking these in the liquid, and then all these wonderful vegetables, juiced, pureed, and smoothies or soups, and olive oil, different types of herbal teas to enjoy. A lot of these teas support the adrenal glands. It's Tulsi. This one is antihistamine. This one is great for being calm and calming the stomach. And a whole bunch of these down here are great for the liver and the immune system. You see, most greens are excellent during this time. Plenty of herbs and spices to make things taste delicious. And then a few extra ingredients here. Okay. Nectarines, peaches, pineapples, papayas, all wonderful foods. If we focus over here onto the no list, okay, it takes out a lot of stuff. And it takes out the main culprits. And that are dairy, corn, eggs, soy, and then here it says all grains, and that includes gluten. Okay, later on you'll see some of these come back in for phase 2, but really gluten, as in wheat products, dairy, corn, soy, and eggs, are the top allergens that are out there. So those are the top 5, and if you're going to remove anything, definitely to remove those. Why are legumes on here, and why is nightshades on here? The legumes, they're sometimes hard to digest, and so they're just removed for ease on the digestive system during this first phase. Nightshade vegetables are for people who have arthritis. Sometimes they're sensitive to the alkaloids in nightshades, and these are all the different types of nightshades. They're all in the same plant family: peppers, eggplant, potatoes, not sweet potatoes, any kind of pepper, and then did I say tomatoes as well? Okay, all added sugars are removed, including honey. These different types of yeast that you would find in breads, vinegars as well. All meats, all nuts and seeds, and then all these other foods that are often found in sweets, including caffeine and alcohol and citrus. So these are all common allergens actually that people react to. A lot of people don't realize that you can react to citrus, to nuts and seeds as well. The meat is removed because it's just hard to digest. So in this first phase, that's been taken out. Some people with candida overgrowth do react to yeast, so that's out. I see a lot of skin issues resolved by removing sugar. Okay, so that's phase 1 and what it would look like. And then I'll briefly show you the recipes at the end here. Phase 2, you're going to add some of these things back in. So let's look at the yes field again. Whole grains are now put in, mostly rice, and then it's quinoa. Sweeteners that are added in are these, particularly the maple syrup and the raw honey can be enjoyed. All the different types of beans are added in, and then these different meats. Notice that there is no, if we go look at the meat over here on the no side, there's, beef and pork are out, but chicken, the poultry, lamb is very anti-inflammatory, so that's kept in there. and then these particular types of fish. Okay. What else is here? Seeds and nut butters are added back in. Great omega fats, great ways to get protein if you are vegan. And so there's a lot of options, a lot to cook from just right here without all this. Many people, the gluten-free has been around for a long time. So there seems to be a lot of people are like, all right, I'm ready to do that. There are other options. And most people turn to things with corn in them. Corn actually is a very common allergen and an irritant for people, and it's in so many different foods. If you eat processed foods, I guarantee that that's in the back of the ingredients somewhere. Things like dextrose, baking powder, sorbitol, maltodextrin. These all come from the starch of the corn, that corn plant. Z maize, as it's called scientifically. So you just have to kind of start to be aware of where is corn in your diet. Okay, so that would be day 2 to day 14 or longer possibly, that you start eating foods with just the yes section. Then it helps you really get started, and it talks about starting something 30 days before you begin the diet. I think that's helpful. Some people don't need that much time, but I encourage people to really think about what do you need, what will best benefit you. Creating a support network. There's already one here, and I think that's wonderful. Consider journaling. I think this is a very helpful way to really understand your emotional, spiritual, physical connection to food, and what's happening as you're going through this process. Again, this is about kitchen prep. Start drinking more purified water. Filtered water is really the best way to go. A lot of different ways to get healthy water, whether you have a purification system in your house, you're getting it from a spring, or bringing water in, or sometimes your water is clean enough and you can enjoy it. They have a cookbook. The Whole Life Nutrition Cookbook. Do we have that one? No, I have one called Nourishing Meals. That's just excellent, that they wrote as well. This is him and his wife, Tom and Alyssa. Look at creating new habits. Doing some Epsom salt baths is a great way to remove toxins from the body. The magnesium sulfate helps pull things out and helps to relax muscles. It's a really good way to take care of yourself. 2 cups in the tub, I actually think is too little. I recommend 4 cups. 2 is enough, but 4 is really what you want to go for. He in particular believes in using supportive supplements at this time, and I think they can be helpful if you want to try it. I say go for it. The activated charcoal helps to bind toxins, bring them out, turns your poop green or gray, so don't be afraid of that. Magnesium citrate will help with the bowel movement, and you want to get the right dosage on that often. So 400 to 600 milligrams might cause looser stools, so you always want to watch for that. And then some digestive enzymes, probiotics. He really believes in fermented foods, and I do too. So there's some recipes on how to create some fermented foods in here. And then they go through here's all the things that would be helpful for you to have in your kitchen with links to places to buy it and whatnot. You don't need everything in here. There's plenty of ways to just work with what you got, but they're going all out, and they show you an example of what that looks like. Then they got some sample menu plans, which are really nice. What day 1 would look like, and they're all in here. 2 cups of this smoothie, then 2 cups, and and hopefully get you through your day. I find I need to drink this all day. Personally, I'll do another 2 cups right between breakfast and lunch to keep me going. I'm very busy. And then that's your day. This is a lot of different cooking, a lot of different types of smoothies. Usually we'll make, 1 huge batch of, a soup and 1 smoothie, and then drink just those 2. Because that's a lot of different types of things to be making. But if you have the time and the resources, you can. You just need to, again, be prepared, because you need to, have enough storage containers, for example, to do all this. So it's just something to think about as you're going through this. You don't have to follow this exactly. You just want to make sure you're following the yes and no foods for that part, and you can eat whatever you want, create any recipe you want or follow any recipe, as long as you're with those foods. Looking at phase 2, just some other ideas of what to cook and how to eat. Most of these recipes are delicious. I really love, we make them regularly, even when we're not doing the diet here in this house, particularly these turkey quinoa meatballs that are probably shown right here. The sweet potato kale hash is great. I like some of their snack ideas, and all of their soups are delicious. And then there's the phase 3 reintroduction, and it tells you how to add each thing basically, and what recipe has it in it. So if you're adding in citrus, do the cucumber kale cleanser, and you add a dash of lemon or lime into that. The raw kale salad, lemon and garlic, you could do that one. And then these black bean yam and avocado tacos, and you add the lime wedges. So they really help you walk through this to figure out, are you sensitive to citrus? Are you sensitive to nightshades, cashews, almonds, walnuts, beef, eggs, pork, chocolate, peanuts, sesame, sugar, yeast, so that you can figure out what's going on. And then there's recipes, okay? And they have some really good tasting ones here. They have a little anecdote about it, how to do a variation on it and whatnot, and then you just go through it all. Let's see, what else did I want to show you? If you have an actual condition, like a gastrointestinal condition, such as fructose malabsorption, or you need to be on the FODMAPs diet, which they go over here a little bit because you have SIBO or IBS, and this helps you. They talk about variations for the diet, doing that. If you have starch digestion issues, if you do have SIBO, like I said, they can help you work through that. And I can too. If you feel like you want more support, I'm happy to see anybody to go through this diet with them. It's something I'm very passionate about and love doing. Also, discussions about how to modify this for pregnancy and lactation. I don't really recommend it for pregnancy, like doing the whole diet. If you think you're sensitive to dairy, then yes, eliminate dairy, and that'll be okay. You can find other ways to nourish yourself. But doing, removing all these foods, I think is just a little too much, and it can be very stressful, during term. So I don't recommend it. There's some modifications for children, and customizing the diet for yourself. They do go over how to reintroduce foods, saying that these 5 to do, well, they don't have eggs here, and I think that should be in here. How to do these last, do all the others first, but these are the most common irritants and the ones that you want out of the system for the longest. And they can kind of give you an order there, how to do that. And then, when you're reintroducing the foods, how do you actually know if you're sensitive to something? And there's a list of the common reactions, and they're quite broad, but basically you would be getting some kind of symptom from it. And particularly something like a runny nose, bowel changes, or moodiness, foggy thinking, fatigue. These come up very often when people are reintroducing a food that they're sensitive to, and the body just knows, and it tells you with a symptom. And what's wonderful about this process and the body is that it is there. Symptoms are information, and that information is to tell you there's an imbalance, and then you should act on that. So if you have a symptom of any kind, that means your body is out of balance somehow. And it could be something that's, in my view, kind of simple to correct and uncover with something like this diet. And it could be something more insidious that's harder to uncover and takes time. And that's when it's a good idea to see someone like me, like a naturopath or someone who does chronic cases, so that we can really uncover the root cause of what's going on for you. But this is always a great place to start, because if it's food, then it's something that's easy to remove. If it's something else like a chronic infection or a deeper hormonal imbalance, then we could figure that out as well. But we don't want to go there first. We want to start with the low-hanging fruit, and that's definitely the food that we eat every day or every week and put in our bodies.